Hi, you are ready after you have transferred this to paint your impossible shape. To do that, you need to decide on a base color and you need to mix up about half a cup of a base color. If you're at home, this means that you're going to use about a quarter tube to do this. And I'm sorry you use so much paint for this, but I chose blue-green and I mixed blue and green together to make my base color. Then you're going to have to mix about a quarter of a cup of a complementary color. So I mixed up a red-orange because it's directly across the color wheel like we talked about from the blue-green. And then I also need some white. You can put white in your palette or paint pan or whatever because you can just slowly use it. You're not going to use up the white. So I have my main color, my complementary color to darken, and my white to lighten. And then I also have a larger, flatter brush because to keep this nice and neat, you are going to tape off each section, okay? So that's the time-consuming part here. That's why you're only going to get about 3 to 4 of these triangle sections done each day in class, which means we're going to work on this for probably like, I don't know, 6 class periods maybe. So if you're at home, that's like 6 35-minute sessions. If you were just to sit down and paint this all at once and maybe blow dry a little bit or something between sections, you could probably get this painting done in 2 to 3 hours. So that gives you an idea if you're painting at home and you don't want to divide your chunks of time up. I'm going to start off by looking at this top corner, and I'm going to go ahead and tilt my camera here, and I am laying my plan right next to, so I am working in this taped off area right next to this, and what I can see is this is a medium value, and it flows over into white. So I do a lot of the mixing with wet paint on my actual palette. So I'm going to lay down a little bit of my main color, and then I am going to slowly fade over into white on my actual page. I'm doing some painting. Now if that's hard for you and you want to mix values in your actual tray, you can, and then I'll show you a little cheat I do that's not the best practice, but I like it. I use my finger and I actually blend that just a little bit sometimes with my finger. I do a little bit of finger painting. Now some painters would really turn their nose up at that, but I think it's an effective way to blend if you can't get yours blended perfectly. So I'm fading all the way over almost into white there, and I'm going to blend a little bit. Now I'm going to take the tape off very carefully and show you what I've done because I know it's a little bit difficult for you to see exactly this fade from dark over to light. Okay, so here we go. Gonna slowly remove the tape, and you'll tape over that section later when you have to tape another section, but right now I don't want to tape a section right next to it because it's still drying. So you can see I have faded that color dark into light. Just like this is dark to light, that is dark to light in my color scheme. If I was going to tape off one of these really dark triangles, that's my darkest value. So I'm going to take my straight on color, and since mine is blue-green, my straight on color is really dark already, so I don't need to put much of the complement in there. And actually, as I'm doing this, I'm seeing I probably mixed up. You probably don't need a half a cup of your colors. You probably need like a third of a cup so that you don't run out. I was a little generous with the paint here, and I don't want you to waste your paint. Okay, so I'm going to tape this off, and I'm going to do a dark triangle down here where it doesn't fade much. And I want to rinse my brush out. I don't have any water here beside myself. That's okay. I'm just going to switch brushes. You don't have to do this. You could rinse it out. But I want a really dark triangle here. So I'm going to put a lot of really dark valued paint down. And I got one tiny drip there on the triangle next to me. I'm just going to let that dry. When I paint over it, that's not going to matter at all. Just try to be really neat and craft. That's what the paint is doing, so that yours doesn't look like the one on the wall that got scary. Mix in a little bit of my complement to make it darker. There we go. Darkening that right up. And I'm going to layer more of my color back on top of it. I don't love this dark green that I used. It's kind of this weird see-through thing, the dark green that's in with the blue, but it's not one of the paints you guys have. If you're in my classroom and you want to use some of my paints for this, since we use up a little more paints, you are totally welcome to. If you're at home, you just need to be really careful how much paint you're using. So I'm probably going to need to let this dry and do one more coat because it's a little streaky, but that's okay. You might have to do multiple coats on some triangles. Now I'm going to untape this just to show you my dark triangle, how clean that edge is. So now let me actually move my screen here a bit. All right, that's where that dark triangle is there, and then that's where the light to dark is there. So just keep your direction. Like you might want to put an arrow of like which way is up on here and an arrow of which way is up on here so that you can keep it directionally making sense. But you're just going to paint triangle after triangle, and then when you get done, you can look again at those finished examples to see what you will get. Good luck. Take your time.